fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
I'm Jim Hutchinson with the New Jersey Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine here along the water here in Margate, New Jersey. In fact, just stopped in to see Robin and the folks at Ray Scott's dock doing a little bit of business here. Finding some folks just coming in with some summer flounder, getting their photos taken. I'm hearing more and more throughout the back bays of New Jersey that action is finally starting to pick up. Talking to Robin this week and through the weekend doing our reports, the fluke action in the back bays is definitely on the uptake. We're getting some more reports of some keepers. Talked to Robin here. They're bringing some keepers in this week on a regular basis here at the cleaning station. Captain John on the keeper, just around the corner. The keeper, we're hearing the same thing. And of course, Robin tells me too, the crabs. A lot of good crab action has been had along these back bays in Atlantic and Cape May County as well. In fact, I spoke to Robin. She said she's starting to see some peanut bunker in back, a lot of silver sides or spearing, if you will, and just cutting up some fish this week. She found a couple of calico crabs in there as well. So the fluke in the back are definitely eating, and it's a good sign for folks that are drifting around in the back bays of New Jersey that this action is starting to get better. South Jersey and Delaware, flounder pounding is definitely getting better. That's the big word. In fact, it's good timing for that too, because just this Saturday, of course, we've got that Grassy Sound Summer Flounder Tournament. It is the 14th annual Summer Flounder Tournament there out of Grassy Sound Marina. That's Saturday, June 27th. You can fish by boat, kayak, or pier. Every captain gets a t-shirt, and all the competitors as well get those neck gaiters, which is, of course, everybody in the fishing business is running around with neck gaiters because it's a great way of keeping safe, following all those guidelines here in the state. But again, we are getting better reports, especially here in South Jersey. Got a report this week at Avalon Hodgepodge. The folks, the Burns family, they were out in force, a bunch of keepers, 9 keepers in total, all on gulp, the biggest fish going 24 inches and 5 pounds. So definitely water temperatures on the uptick throughout the state. It seems like it's been so cold, so cool in terms of that summer flounder bite, but definitely the temperatures are up and it's getting the summer flounder starting to bite as well. I know so many folks love heading east. They love going out on those pieces of structure, those wrecks, the artificial reefs. But the true doormats, you can find true doormats in these back bays and inlets as well. I talked to Dave from Absecon Bay Sportsman Center. He had his first true doormat brought in this week. Tom Rubino, he had one that was 30 inches, 10 pounds. Now that one was caught in the inlet, in Great Egg Inlet. The guys were drifting bunker and hoping for a striper. The stripers are still in as well, but a 10-pound fluke, if you had your choice, 10-pound fluke or a 15-pound striper, which one would you go for? That's not to say it's not worth pressing east to get offshore. Folks in Atlantic and Cape May County, even Delaware as well, but of course the best bite has been offshore at the canyons. We're starting to get that increased bigeye bite offshore. Not too much to report just yet in terms of yellowfin, but the bigeye is definitely what's dragging some people out there. We spoke to the folks at Lewis Harbor Marina this week. They said that Chris Ragney Sr., Bill Henry Buckaloo, and Marcy Engel, they're on the Sea Hunter. And Poor Man's Canyon had 168.5-pound bigeye on a Nomad 220. So that's a good sign, too, for folks looking to get offshore. Meanwhile, Captain Mike O'Neill of Stray Cat, he reported the first king mackerel of the 2020 season that I'm aware of just yet. And again, with water temperatures in Atlantic City, middle of the week getting up to about 71 degrees, you can expect to start seeing more of those summer visitors in our near shore waters. In fact, Mike from Manasquan let me know this week. He was doing a little bit of spear fishing around the inlet. Looked like a puppy drum in there, but I know he got a couple of triggerfish in the mix as well. So it's nice to see some of those triggers popping up on the scene this summer. Now, if you get a triggerfish, I'm watching these folks cleaning some fluke right now, but get that serrated knife. That skin on the triggerfish is really thick, so it's nice to have that serrated knife to get you started. But once you pull those fillets, those big slabs right off the body, leave that tough skin on. I'll give you a tip. One of the cool things to do is to cook that triggerfish on the closed grill outside, skin side down. Put a little butter or the spices that you like, but don't turn it over. When you get back to the table later on, that meat just kind of pulls out of there. It's almost like shellfish. Follow me on that one. It's a good one. Other summer visitors of late, of course, we're starting to get that summer shark action in the surf. Keep in mind, Brown sharks, you know, those real sandbar sharks, and the sand tigers. You are not allowed to target those fish. I was talking to Andy at Riptide Bait and Tackle this week. He sent out a reminder on Facebook. Do not target those sand tigers. Do not target those browns. And if you catch one, you got to get it back in as quickly as possible. I know the fish police are starting to watch social media and looking for photos. Don't be holding that fish up like this and getting your picture taken. Even if you're releasing one of these sharks, make sure you're looking eastward as you're letting that shark go instead of smiling at the camera. There's no telling what these folks are going to do. You can be targeting threshers and spinners inshore right in the surf, but if you're putting out kingfish heads or bunker chunks, make sure you let those browns and sand tigers go as quickly as possible. Now, if you are planning on a trip to the beach this weekend, Greg at Fisherman's headquarters lets me know that there's still a couple of straggling stripers and good sized ones too in the mix. In fact, Jim Crane reported back this week on a 39-inch striper that he caught somewhere in the middle of Long Beach Island. And Greg tells me at Fisherman's headquarters, because of all the bunker that are around, he expects a few stripers to still be in the mix, maybe until or through that July 4th weekend. So you do have another shot at striped bass this week in the surf. In fact, going farther up into Ocean County, Wayne Capizzi checked in with the folks at Grumpy's this week with a 35-inch, 15-pound striper, a perfect one for the table. He caught that fish on clam. Now, those clam baits, if you're rigging up, tying on those clams on a high-low rig, or maybe you're using a fish finder or a three-way, don't forget you might be able to hook into a drum as well. While that really outstanding drum bite down in Delaware Bay is kind of dissipated for the season, those black drum are moving up along the coast. We're getting some drum reports in the Ocean County wash. I'm getting some reports up in Raritan Bay as well. So keep an eye on that. And again, those clam baits will work if you're fishing for stripers or drum. And if you want to start targeting fluke, I mentioned those ocean water temperatures, jig heads and gulp in the wash. Might be a good weekend for you to start prospecting for fluke in some of those sloughs and along any jetty rocks if you happen to have any jetty rocks left. Yes, a few more fish are being caught out front too, some fluke out front. Those boats that are sailing out now that they don't have black sea bass, they're looking for ling, maybe some cod, but also those fluke are starting to set up on some of the wrecks and rock piles offshore as well. In fact, Bill Kay had this 22-incher aboard Captain Ralph's Last Lady out of Neptune this past week. Also, the doormats. We talk about North Jersey. Yeah, there's some fish here. You can hear the hungry gulls getting the scraps. But there are some doormats up on the Raritan now, too. Pete Perez let me know that he and his wife, Joni, they hit a true doormat from Sandy Hook on Monday. It was a 30-and-a-half-incher. It weighed 10.9 pounds. They also had another 18-incher. They are fishing in 23 feet of water on the outgoing tide in Raritan Bay. High-low, white bucktail, red salmon gulp. Everybody's looking for the red salmon gulp. You can't go wrong with gulp. What did you guys use for your fluke this week?
Minnows.
Minnows. We were talking baits before. Everybody's got their favorite. The spearing, peanut bunker around, get yourself some killies, and of course, one of the things that people telling me that they love is strips of salmon, maybe soaked in finessence cheddar oil. The folks there, Pete and Joanne Perez, they keep their boat out of Municipal Harbor, the Municipal Marina at Carteret, which offers great access to the Raritan and Lower Hudson River. And I will tell you, if you're looking for stripers in the Lower Hudson, it's mostly schoolies at this point. Take it from me, I know that. Our weekly edition is out, and it's online for you subscribers. If you subscribe to the Fisherman magazine, you get those weekly editions. We're getting ready to go to print with July. But in doing the reports for this week's edition, on Sunday, found out some pelagics that are also popping up throughout Raritan Bay as well. They could be some big false albacore, because I know that those fish are around. In fact, Captain Jimmy Frieda let me know from the shipping lane out some of the biggest false albacore he has seen in years. It's possible. Some folks said that they were bluefin inshore and in close. I'm not sure, but we do know those bluefin are scattered. Folks have been chasing them from down here, places like the Hot Dog, but going up into North Jersey, the Resurrect, Little Italy, and locations like that, maybe the Atlantis Princess. But those bluefin are scattered, but definitely worth chasing after with those wide trackers, and hopefully that bite will turn on soon for popping and jigging those bluefin as well. Many of the offshore runners, of course, as I spoke before, are heading offshore and looking for that big eye action. The big eye are definitely getting big. They're getting hungry. My buddy Captain Frank Wags on Fin Chasers shows off just how big some of these big eye tuna are. Very tasty species as well if you're getting offshore. He runs a boat out of Manasquan Manasquan and also up on the highlands, presumably to get wherever the best bite is. But I know a lot of the folks heading out of Manasquan are heading due east and looking for that offshore bite. In fact, in Hoffman's and Brielle, after having a couple of weeks in May where they were just loaded with all those big bluefin, now they're starting to get some of those bigeye weigh-ins like this one, a monster for the crew of the Chesapeake. Now, if you're looking to get offshore this weekend, Thursday and Friday, 3 to 4s, looks like the better part of the week. As we get into the weekend, Saturday and Sunday is expected to build a little bit. So if you're looking to get offshore, you're watching this video forecast on Thursday. Hopefully you have an opportunity to jump on a boat and get out there on Friday. Just pay attention to that NOAA offshore weather forecast for the weekend ahead. Always something you want to do anytime you're planning for an offshore trip. If you don't plan on heading east this weekend, maybe you'll head west to the mountains. Let's check in with George, our Pocono Outdoors guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. You know, summer came in with a punch here, and temperatures are up in the high 80s, even some 90s, and water temperatures are pushing up too. But that also means that the fish are going to start to move down into those deeper, cooler waters, but there are still plenty of fish to be caught. I was talking with Delaware River guide Tim Keebler, and he was telling me the bite on the river is still going strong. Lots of stripers down by Bucks County. Although they're starting to spread a little thin, there's still plenty to be caught. Also, that smallmouth bite, he's getting them quite a bit late night and early morning on those top waters. So try that out there. Get on those fish. Little plugs will get it done there. Also, he's been seeing some walleye at nighttime as well. Good walleye bite. That should go strong through the rest of the summer, getting that deeper water when those walleyes come up to feed. Also, he's been seeing some catfish. They're out on the spawn. So, you know, give it a couple weeks and those catfish bite. Who doesn't love catfish on summer nights, getting out those big flatheads and even those channel cats? Some good fishing there. Now, fishing's been good all over. I have a pic here from Brian Downs. He got a nice striper over by Trenton on the Delaware, and he was throwing white plugs on topwater for these things and getting into them really well. Also, Rich Bates out bass fishing on his kayak. You know, the bass are going to be really turned on now. You just got to watch to get them in the cover. Spinner baits, buzz baits, you name it, everything's going to work now, but the summer belongs to the bass. Also, Scott Green getting out into some smallmouth. Yeah, the smallmouth, like we just talked about, he's been getting them on those plugs, topwater plugs, so really productive there. Now, one of the things I've seen this week was I got flooded with a ton of pictures from young folks getting out on some great fish. Here's Beckham Cross with a 5-pound bass. He got on a Senko in a local lake. Great job there, Beckham. Also, Easton Schwam. A couple of really nice bass he got at a local pond here as well. These little guys really know how to get on them. And finally, Nick Pashley got a nice striper again on the Delaware near Trenton, and he got that one on a 4-inch storm shad. So lots of fish to be caught, guys. Just be sure you get out, get on them. From Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
Steigercraft boats, built by people who fish our waters. Serious English choose Steigercraft for their 40 years of boat building experience right here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Visit steigercraft.com for a dealer near you.
We do know, of course, that summer is officially underway here at the Jersey Shore. I may finally be getting that haircut soon, too, now that everything is opened up. Haven't had it touched since March. I know, it shows. Hopefully that is done by next week's report. I also hope to see a few more fish from New Jersey, Delaware, and Pennsylvania kayak anglers in the Fisherman Magazine's Coastal Kayak Clash. That tournament is ongoing. It's free to enter. You just have to go over to thefisherman.com. Multiple species in that tournament, so you can jump in, get one of these big fluke in the back, come in here and rent a kayak from the folks at Robin's place, Ray Scott in Margate. And I'll tell you what, she's got one deal too, is if you don't have a boat and you want to come down here and rent one of these boats to get out for fluking, if you catch a 4-pound or better fluke, you're going to get a gift certificate for your next trip. But again, that kayak clash, the Coastal Kayak Clash, it's going on now. Get in on that bite. And I'll tell you, here in South Jersey, we still have a few good weak fish to be had as well along those rock piles, jig heads and plastics, or maybe drifting some live worms. Get in on the action. You can find out all about it. Register for free over at thefisherman.com. and also find out about how you can become a dues-paying member with the Fisherman magazine. Subscription is just $29.95. You get all those weekly editions digitally, and you get that monthly. We're getting ready to go to print with July. Hard to believe this summer is going as fast as it is, but things are finally starting to open up. The summer flounder bite is taking off in the back bay down here, and for you guys in North Jersey who call them fluke exclusively, the doormats are starting to bite up there as well. So catch them up this weekend. Have a great one. We'll see you again next week right here at thefisherman.com.